Welcome to the Black Box. What is the Black Box, you ask? It is the first specialty known in dentistry, orthodontics. Orthodontics is the Black Box. Stay tuned as we talk to a program director who's going to share information about his program and information about one of the top specialty programs and the most competitive, one of the most to get into as well. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach, with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then surviving dental school, surviving residency as well, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. We got a special episode. Make sure that if you hear things that you like, if you're getting some value from these episodes, hit the thumbs up, smash the like button, thumbs up as well. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so that you know when new videos are being released on a weekly basis. This video today is being sponsored by GetIntoDentalResidency.com. GetIntoDentalResidency.com, a resource for you as dental students and also dentists that are looking to become a resident, come to get advanced general dentistry education and training, but also to become a specialist. And whether it's orthodontics, what we're going to talk about today, pedo, endodontics, periodontics, oral surgery, etc. The list goes on and goes on. So for more information on as to how I can help you help yourself get into dental residency, go to my website, getintodentalresidency.com, and you can find some more details as we can help you go from candidate to resident in the specialty that you're looking to make your career out of. Go check that out. All right, guys. So today we got a special guest. It's in our series of residency spotlights. We're joined today with program director Dr. Kelton Stewart, who's going to be talking about his program, his ortho program, but also some of the details about his program and why he chose orthodontics. And guys, be sure to stay all the way through. Just listen, watch, take notes, because he's going to share some information about his program that could be helpful if you're interested in getting into orthodontics. So stay tuned all the way through. Dr. Stewart, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Dr. Darwin. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for sharing your time. I know you're busy. I know you've been on calls and meetings all day. You're getting ready for your new residency class to start in about a month or so. But please introduce yourself for those that are meeting you for the first time.
Yes, so good evening, everyone, or good morning if you're watching it in the morning. I'm Kelton Stewart. I'm originally from Texas. I did all of my dental training at Baylor College of Dentistry, so a DDS, orthodontic certificate, and a master's in health professions education. I made the decision to enter into full-time academics at the conclusion of my residency program. I'll talk a little bit more about this later on, but ultimately coming to Indiana, I've been here for now 12, almost 13 years. I serve as the chair and program director, clinic director, chief bottle washer. I pick up glass and vomit. I do a little bit of everything, but glad to be with you and to share a little bit more about my story, my program, and hopefully get you inspired and excited to pursue orthodontics.
Absolutely, man. And we're just excited that you're here, that you are willing to spotlight and share some key elements about your program. Let's start. So first of all, why ortho for you? Many different specialties. I'm pretty sure if you applied to ortho, that meant that your GPA and everything else was tops. You probably were in the top 5 in your class or top 10 in your class. Why did you pick ortho? Why ortho?
Well, for me, one of the major reasons was the power that orthodontic has to transform an individual's life. And very briefly, I'll share my story. When I was 10, I had chubby cheeks. I had more hair than I do right now. I had a little box with a nice fade. but I was pretty much an introvert, and a lot of it had to do with my teeth. And I had what I call a jug, so a jacked up grill. And so my parents kind of knew that it was weighing heavy on me. They invested in me and found an orthodontist. As it worked out, it was about a 45-minute to an hour drive. So my parents would leave work, take me out of school, drop me off, but they would have to go back to work, just given our financial situation at the time. And so I would have my appointments 30 minutes, but then I really just had to stay there. And so the orthodontist started to pick up on that. He started to engage me and help me to understand what was going on with my own treatment. He allowed me to shadow and do some different things. And so during that process, to get my teeth straight, that was transformative in itself. But then on top of that, to have someone else outside of my family invest and pour into me, I thought was amazing. And so it kind of got me interested, got me on a path. The other thing that I found out as I continued to pursue things was the mental rigor. So I always think of orthodontics as the chess of dentistry. Every time a patient comes in, you're hitting the reset button. Where was I last time? Where am I? Where do I need to be 2-3 visits from now? So it really forces you to think and be engaged mentally as you are navigating and trying to get to the ultimate conclusion. And then the last thing, in my orthodontist that I spoke of, he was part of it, but as I navigated dental school and into my residency program, I was overwhelmingly blessed to have a tremendous amount of mentors. My parents were phenomenal. And so I really felt obligated to pay it forward. And so I found that orthodontics is a great way to give to the community, to give to the profession, to continue to get my own personal development. And so I've been extremely blessed, more so than I probably deserve, but I feel with that blessing, I should also be a blessing. And so I seek every day to try to do that and do things just like this, to try to open doors and plant seeds and help people break down barriers or misconceptions where they can achieve all that they want to achieve.
Well, you're definitely blessing us right now, and we've got some questions for you that also will bless us as well. Um, as a board certified orthodontist, tell us a little bit about what you like best about the specialty.
I think out of all the dental specialties or just components of dentistry, orthodontics really allows you to build a lasting relationship. And so average treatment time, if you look it up, is 24 to 36 months. And so in a lot of situations, you literally will watch a person grow up. I saw a patient today, actually, I remember when he came into the clinic, he was a little over 5 feet tall. He's now 6'1", long hair, baseball player. And so it's so impactful and I think so amazing that you can sit and have this long relationship, and not with everybody, but you have that opportunity to really figure out what they like, what are they interested in. It may not be orthodontics, maybe medicine, could be optometry, could be law, but you can sit and help them navigate and think things through, and it really helped the future, period. And so I think that's so powerful in a great way. The other thing I love about orthodontics is I think we could tout this. We're the only profession where people actually want to come and see us. Everybody else, something is wrong when you go in to see them. With orthodontics, and it gets a little old maybe after a while, but people are excited when they come in and at the prospect of actually having an experience in which they will walk out on the other end better, more confident, more capable and able to pursue things in life and do so with a passion and excitement that I think we all are deserving of.
And I will say there's something to be said for that before and that after picture that's taken when you're going through ortho treatment as well. So tell us a little bit about how you became program director, because last time I checked, there weren't a lot of folks that looked like you that were program directors in the specialty as competitive and as prestigious as orthodontics. So tell us a little bit about that transformation and that progression over the years as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think I would like to attribute that to my ascension to being chair now and program director, to making calculated decisions and really working to seize critical moments in my career. So good decisions. What do you mean? So my master's in health professions education, it really opened the door for me from a financial perspective. I walked out of dental school orthodontic residency program with $99,000 worth of debt. So that master's program paid for my fourth year dental school expenses, all of my orthodontic residency. So I wasn't strapped with the challenge that a lot of people face coming out of dental school and or a residency program right now. So really the world was open to me. I was obligated to teach for 3 years. And so I went through a process of interviewing and had a lot of options at the end of it. And one was at Indiana, where I ultimately ended up going, but I could also have gone to Columbia or Stony Brook. And so all excellent schools, they were going to pay me about the same amount. But the thing that attracted me to Indiana, just before I arrived, 80% of the faculty left. And so for me, it was a calculated decision. As I said before, I could go into a place where I would be the low man on the totem pole and not be able to do a lot. And Stony Brook and Columbia have excellent programs. And so, but that's where I was going to be. Here I came in and I was in the process of rebuilding. And so I would encourage everyone listening this evening, you know, money matters, your family matters, but you have to look down the road, look around the corner. What opportunities are you going to have? And is it really self-limiting? So maybe you come out and you're making $200,000 a year, but after 10 years, if you're only making $210,000 because you're taking this job opportunity instead of another one where you could have a greater amount, or you take a role like I've taken, I think it's worth its weight in gold. And so think long term and not just of the short term gain. The other thing, I really dedicated myself to continual improvement, professional development, and really trying to build a legacy that my predecessors in a lot of different places, again, all who really poured into me, I'm trying to make myself better. And in doing so, it allowed me, again, to maintain doors that are open. Sometimes it's a window, you got to crawl through a window, whatever it ends up being. When I speak of seizing the moment, when I came on my first year of being a faculty member here at Indiana, my chair, my previous boss had a heart attack. And so here I am with 2 years of orthodontic training. I had about 6 months of on-the-job experience under my belt. She went out. They turned to me and said, "We need you to be acting chair." So again, I still had hair at the time. It's a lot of pressure. I don't have hair anymore. But the reality was I had a golden opportunity. God laid before me an opportunity to allow me to shine, to show and demonstrate what I was capable of when given an opportunity. Yep. And so in doing so, again, I was able to, in a lot of ways, exceed expectations and prove to them that a person of color, someone who's different than a lot of people, if you were to look at the demographics of my school, I'm pretty unique. And so it was an opportunity to seize a moment and plant seeds of confidence in them, in my administration, that, you know what, if something were to happen, this gentleman here could take the helm and make sure that the ship goes in the right direction. And so I've been able to do that. I can tell you 9 years later, my chair retired, my boss retired. They had a search, the search failed. They turned to me again, "Will you be interim?" We vaguely recall you doing a pretty good job the last time you had this role. And so
vaguely required. Yeah, we remember that. We remember that. Yeah. And
then, and again, for all the listeners out there, the other thing is you still have to realize, and this was something that was ingrained to be my grandparents and my parents, as people of color, and the world is changing, but we still have to work 10 times harder, be 10 times more prepared, more productive, more efficient, more impactful than some of our counterparts. And so I always have that mentality. I'm under a microscope. And so if I'm going to be scrutinized, I'm going to show you the best show ever. So Go ahead and look at me.
Yeah, look at this. All of this.
Shine.
Right.
All of this.
Get your sunglasses on. Get your sunglasses on.
Let the glow on the head and what I can do. And so it's almost like a chip on your shoulder. You're trying to prove something. And, we've come a long way from the 60s and all the challenges we had, but, the fight's not over. The battle's not over. The progress is still out there. We still have a lot to work for. And I work to this day, every day, for all of you listening. You're not, at some point, hopefully I inspire you, or Dr. Darwin inspires you, and you decide I'm going to go into academics as well, and you replace me. And that's one of my goals professionally is I find 5 people to replace me. Yeah. Every couple of years, I try to find someone else I could bring into academia. I could bring into leadership positions at the NDA, the AAO, ADA, what have you. And so, I always commend Dr. Darwin about this. He's committed to trying to help you all. And it's not even just to really get into a residency program. It's to be an efficient professional where you inspire the next generation, just like we're trying to do for you right now. So those are all the reasons that I think I've been able to be successful I seized the moment. I thought about things. I have a tremendous support mechanism. My parents are still to this day my biggest champions. And so just having the upbringing that I have and the focus that I've had to try to live a life that's amazing and leave a legacy that inspires others that are going to come behind me.
Did you hear that, guys? There you go. I mean, we could just stop right there with the interview as far as how you have progressed and the reasons that you have been able to be excellent, and then also imbue and transform and also reach back and inspire others to be impactful as well. So great story, man. I didn't know all the details. I knew some, but that was a great overview. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now we want to go to part two of this, which is the overview about the program. And I know people who are listening and watching are like, God, finally, can we get to the meat? I'm trying to get
To the black box.
yeah, we're trying to get to the black box. Let's see what's inside the black box of dentistry, which is orthodontics, right? And we call it the black box. What's the reason again?
Yeah, so for a long time, and even in certain aspects of the country now, in the world now, people just really feel like it's like a secret. Like this is a secret sauce. We got secret handshakes.
Right.
Only the anointed could come in and be an orthodontist and learn all the things. And I'm here to tell you today, I just one of the silos and one of the misconceptions I want to try to break down. It may not be in your professional journey and God's will for you to be an orthodontist, but that doesn't mean you can't engage and benefit and have your patients benefit from orthodontic services. And so at least in my small microcosm of the profession, with all of the dental students and the people that I'm able to can hear my voice, I try to counsel them and encourage them. Hey, do what you need to do. And sometimes it's just not going to work out. You won't be an orthodontist, but that does not mean that you cannot engage in orthodontics at the highest level where you're making a positive impact on the profession.
Right. So let's talk about the impact that you and your program and your residents there continue to make for the not only the orthodontic community, but also for the people that you serve with the orthodontic services. So we're ready. You guys ready for the spotlight? Let's go. Let's jump in. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth now about the ortho program at Indiana. So let's talk about some very broadly about the program. I want to know a little bit more about the mission, the purpose of the program, the curriculum, how it's structured, patient caseload. If we could talk about, how residents are given patients and how many they may see or may be in their patient family, treatment plan family, so to speak. Number of residents, what the program is known for, strengths, areas that they're going to, that you guys are constantly improving on. And then we'll also talk a little bit more about the ideal ortho candidate from your perspective. And then the super bonus, which is tips, 3 or 4 tips for applicants. So let's start off with the mission and purpose of the program.
I think the mission is basic and something you would find everywhere. We're committed and dedicated to training skilled and competent orthodontic professionals in the most contemporary and advanced, future techniques in orthodontics. And we also a second arm to that is serving the orthodontic needs of a broad patient population. So we are the only dental school in the state of Indiana. So we treat everyone from Gary, Indiana, where Michael Jackson was born, all the way down to Evansville, which is the last city before you hit Kentucky, and everything in between, east to west. We also have a draw from Kentucky, from Ohio, a lot of the neighboring states. And so we have a rich patient population, actually a very diverse patient population. And so I think that's one of the tremendous benefits. But that's really our mission and what we try to seek to do. We are one of probably, if I had to count, and I haven't done it recently, I think there's about 14 2-year programs left. Every other program, every other type of program is a variant of 36 months. It could be 30, 32, 34, 36. So we are a 2 years master's and certificate program. So coming here, we do engage you in research. So you will leave with a master's in dental, master's of science in dentistry, and you'll have to conduct original research. And then you'll also get the orthodontic certificate because of your clinical experience and the acumen that you will attain while you're here. Every year, we actually, from accreditation perspectives, we have seats for 14 individuals. So every year we take and look for the best individuals and take 7. And so the way we have things set up here is a partner or vertical system. Within our clinic, we have a 28-chair clinic. Within that clinic, we have practices, is what we've called them. And so there's 7 practices, and you would be paired with one of the seniors ahead of you. So you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of and learn from. And I think that's a tremendous learning experience. We also have over a dozen faculty members, 4 full-time, and then another 8 to 10, or actually we just recruited a few more adjunct faculty that come in. And so you get a good balance of on the ground support on a daily basis from full-time faculty. And then you also get the flavor that adjunct faculty brings to the department. And for most people, that's the exciting part. They're out there in
Yes,
private practice
that's
doing what you
right.
want to do. They are who you want to be. So you don't want to be like me. You don't want to be bald and look good in a bow tie. You want to be like them and have hair and a practice and some other stuff. And so that's one of the things I'd say our focus really is clinical excellence. So we're dedicated to making sure that you can get out and you can take care of the orthodontic needs of your patients, whatever that population and community may be, both now and into the future. I will challenge you. I will promise you this, as long as I'm program director, to think and to think deeply about why you're doing what you're doing. It's not a cookbook. And so that's part of the black box there. It's just like, oh, it's just secrets. And if you can figure out the secrets, you're okay. I mentioned before, this is chess. There's a lot that can go wrong with orthodontics. If you don't do it the right way, you can really mess people up. But when you do it the right way, you can make a tremendous impact. There's nothing really super secret about it, to be honest with you. But there's a diligence. There's small things that you need to understand, so
It's
that
a
way
science. It's a
you can
science.
sidestep the pitfalls, and you
Yeah.
can help the patients understand why this or this is not in their best interest. There's a lot of small nuances that you would need to pick up. And the other thing is didactic excellence. We strive to make sure that you're as knowledgeable as possible. And this, I think you'll find that with most orthodontic programs. As far as a structure, your first year, you have didactic instruction all day Monday, and then Tuesday through Friday, you have pretty much all clinical experiences with a small class or a seminar first thing in the morning. And so again, I think it's a good balance of helping you build a foundation that you can use for the rest of your professional life, and at the same time that you are picking up your hand skills and expanding your knowledge from a clinical perspective. If I had to break down the curriculum into percentages, easily 70% of your time, maybe a little bit more, you'll be engaged in patient care. About 15% of the time, you'll be in didactic environment, so classrooms type stuff. About 10% we allocate for research, and then another 5% for teaching. And so again, most people don't think about this. If you're going to be a private practitioner, you will be a teacher. You will be. You're going to teach your staff, your business office, your patients, your referrals. This is what I need from you. This is the best in this area, or this is the best practices in that area. So it's incumbent upon you to be able to take your knowledge and actually instill it into other people, to empower them to be successful, because no matter if it's orthodontics or endodontics or whatever, it's a team approach. You can't do it all by yourself. I've never seen an orthodontist answer the phone, put the wires in, collect the money, all at the same time. It doesn't work. And if you can do that, email me. I'll give you my email at the end of it. I want to talk with you because I'm in the wrong field and I need to be learning from you. So that's all right.
Exactly. Well, you touched on a lot of good things with regards to the curriculum and structure. Let's talk a little bit more about what residents can expect as far as patient caseload and the types of patients that they'll be seeing, and what that family of patients looks like from a resident perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a motto that I share with all the residents as soon as they get here. And I tell them, I want you to be thinkers. And when you finish, I have no idea where you're going. And so because of that, I take it as a personal challenge to expose you to as much as possible. So one of the things I do is encourage our faculty, both full-time and adjunct, to practice and to share just like they do in their own private practices. So that way you see multiple perspectives. So if you had a glass in front of you, I'm looking at it from the left, I'm looking at it from the right, and down below and up above. And if you do that, you have a better appreciation for what needs to be done. But you could also walk into any environment. It could be a practitioner who's been practicing for 50 years. It could be another new grad, and insert yourself and be comfortable with what you need to do, and maybe the technology present, those type of things. From a patient perspective, I said we're the only show in Indiana, so it makes it really nice. And so you can anticipate starting anywhere from 50 to 60, and we've really been pushing the 60. We've had a lot of people, and then with the pandemic, we've actually been really busy trying to get caught up with stuff. And so you'll have 60 patients as a start. There's a wide range of different types of malocclusion. So, the way teeth are fitting or not fitting, the skeleton is fitting or not fitting. And so you can anticipate having a very diverse population, very diverse, very robust. And so you get everything under the sun. So surgical cases that may be appropriate for aligners, individuals who need teeth removed, individuals who may need implants or TADs, a lot of people call it that way. So, and everything in between. Your second year, so that's the 60, your first year. Your second year, because it's a 2-year program, there are a few, I won't call them negatives, but just realities. You probably won't be able to finish most of your cases. So what that means is you will inherit cases that your big brother or sister couldn't finish. And that usually is in the ballpark of 50 to 60. So you add it up, all of a sudden, at the peak of your second year, you're looking at a patient population of about 120. So that, again, gives you a very broad and robust experience where you see pretty much everything. People with temporomandibular disorders, craniofacial anomalies, a little bit of everything. And so, again, I don't know where you're going. So my job is to make sure the buffet has a little bit of everything. So I don't know if you're a picky eater or what. So,
and when you say we don't know where residents are going, meaning once they complete the program, what type of practice or what type of environment or where they're going to be in what part of the country, which will dictate what type of cases they could particularly be exposed to and have to treat, correct?
That is 100% correct. And so I have students in Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Europe. Wow. I have people who have started their own, even recently. I'm very proud of them, actually, and all of my students, but them in particular. They went out, and it's kind of old school at this point, but they hung their own shingle. They did what they needed to do. Quite a few of them, because of debt load, I understand some of the pressures, they've opted to actually go into an associateship so they can continue their learning and develop things and learn a little bit more of the business aspect of the profession, another aspect, a corner of the black box, and kind of figure out, okay, what do I need to do from this regard? But there's something for everyone. You have to factor in your families and your long-term goals, your financial needs. There's a lot of different things that will lead you down the path that makes the most sense. But again, my commitment to all of you, and I think most of my counterparts at all the other programs, our commitment to you is we'll get you the training, we'll get you to have the mentality that you will need, and then it's up to you to go find the right opportunity that's going to fit and allow you to be successful.
Now, just to add on to the types, the residency. I know you said the 7 first year, 7 second year, but I also heard you say you had some completers that opened up and started practices in Taiwan and also in Saudi Arabia. What would you say is the mix of your program as far as U.S. or Canadian grads versus or in addition to those that may have been trained internationally?
If I look at a 10-year spectrum, I'd say usually two of my residents are international or have some type of international background: Mexico, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Iran. We've had a long-standing streak of people from individuals from Iran come. And then male to female fluctuates. We participate in the match, and so there's a certain degree I can't control. I can tell you every year we work really hard to find the brightest, most talented students coming in. Diversity, however you want to define it. We think about all those things, and we try to get a list of individuals that interview where it would be diverse. But the reality is, with the match, you have to want us. So it has to be some consensual action going on there. And so ultimately, right now we have an African-American male coming in. Very proud to have him coming in. I have a senior African-American female. She's graduating, staying in the Indianapolis area. We have people of Asian descent. No Iranians right now. I'm sure we'll have some more coming in. We have 2 individuals from India who are coming into the program. Right now we're I'd say a little lopsided as far as gender. We have when July 1 hits, we'll have 12 men and 2 female, which is kind of contrary to the trend in dentistry right now. But again, I think that I can tell you from the list that we submitted to match, it should have been actually the opposite, but it is what it is. So again, my commitment is really to get people who want to come here, who are ready to go, ready to work, eager to work, and have the skill set to be successful and the innate abilities that we can build upon to make good practitioners. So if it's all women, fine. All men, fine. But we do think about that. And so I know a lot of times people are, it's Indiana. Do you want somebody of color or whatever? Absolutely. I want the best that we can, as diverse as possible. There's tons of literature that shows the more diverse your group, the better they're able to function, the more successes you can have long-term. So there's a lot of benefits to that. And obviously as a man of color, that's something that I try not to push too hard on my faculty. You can get pushback. I want them to embrace it. And so I said before, I work really hard. I want them to look at me and be like, oh, he works hard. We want more people like him coming in. We'll do that. So
yeah. But thanks for that extrapolation and deeper dive into the resident pool. I think that's helpful as well. What also would be helpful is know a little bit more about what would you say is what the program is best known for?
If I had to pinpoint it, I would say clinical excellence, especially in the area of biomechanics. So we've had two notable giants in the profession. The first is Charles Burstone, and so um, you mentioned earlier the black box and the origins of the profession. So that was Edward Engel, a huge gentleman in his own right and the father of orthodontics. The contemporary father of orthodontics passed away a few years. Dr. Prophet, he was in North Carolina and Kentucky before that, tremendous gentleman. From a biomechanics perspective, it was Charles Burstone, and his origins were here. He trained here, was here for a while, then he went to UConn and continued his legacy. And so we have articles and book chapters and all kinds of stuff related to that. Gene Roberts is another one. He's more of a bone physiology and bringing in physiology and anatomy into the profession that way. But with both of them, and there have been a number of other people, it's really the publications, the scholarship that really help focus the thought of the profession and how we look at things, how we develop best practices. And then on top of that, and I try to fit in that mode and fill these footsteps, people who are nationally, internationally known for being out there really promoting the profession. So I'm actively engaged in the American Association of Orthodontists. If you're not at the table, you're on the table, and I want to make sure we have a voice. So that way people of color or underrepresented, historically underrepresented minority groups all could be supported in the ways that they need to be supported. And the same thing, I talked about how hard we have to work. If you look at the AAO leadership, there's not a lot of people that look like me or like you. They're working at it. They have diversity committees and things going. So it's a work in progress, and I'm happy to see that. But I've made a commitment that I want to make sure that people know who I am, what I stand for, what I'm trying to do. And at the same time, that gives me a platform to inspire people and to open the minds of people who had closed minds, that had preconceived notions of what, a man of color can and can't do, those type of things. And so it's awesome. I look at it this way. I always talk with my mom and my father every week. We chat multiple times, and we only get so many hours, only so many days, so many years on the planet. So how are you going to spend it? And so, I'm active. I do a lot of stuff. I sleep enough to, not get sick and stuff. But if you talk to my residents, you talk to people who know me, you're on that committee too. You're doing that. It's just, I got time, at a certain point, God's going to call me home. And when that happens, I want him to look at me and be like, yeah, job well done. You maximize your efforts and you inspired. Look at what you did. I want you to sit and watch. So that's what I work towards. It's a lot. And there's days I'm just, I'm tired, those types of things. But then I get a chance. I just met with a group of students from Pennsylvania a little bit more than a year ago, Meharry and Howard. I love talking with students and inspiring them and showing them that they can. And helping them think through how they will. And so all those things I think are so important. And so that, to me, that's my motivation. That's my gasoline, where it's just like, you know what? Yeah, I'll sleep 2 hours knowing that I got to do this, this, and this. And, you make it up. You have balance. And I love going home and spending time with my family and recouping, and can't wait to do it. The pandemic's made it really, really hard. But with all of you, make your time count. You don't know. I just had a friend pass away from COVID, unfortunately. And so he was an awesome guy. Only 44. And so it's just, none of us know how much time we're going to have. And I don't want to get all, somber and stuff, but, be intentional about what you're doing. When we get to the tips, I'll circle back to that. But you definitely, all of you in your own right, you're cold. I just like to say it that way. So let your light shine. Just do your thing.
And I'm glad you brought that up about time and making sure that it's used and you leverage it appropriately. Because you never know what something you may say in front of somebody at the time that you have the opportunity to speak to them, what impact of your words or your fellowship that you have with them, your friendship, or just your comradeship, or just the opportunity to communicate with somebody, how that will impact them, not only in that moment, but also in the future. To come as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because we spend a lot of time trying to be impactful. I think a lot of it's just our nature, in addition to wanting to be intentional as well in our actions. So and it sounds like that might be kind of a great segue to the next question as it relates to the program, as some of the strengths. I've heard you say a lot of things about your intention as program director, making sure that the program is preparing the residents appropriately. What are some of the strengths that you like to highlight about the program? And then also, could you touch upon some of the areas that you guys are constantly involved with as far as improvement on a year-to-year basis as well?
Absolutely. I'd say one of the first things, and this, again, this is a nature of my upbringing, is I try to maintain a family relationship. An orthodontic residency program, I don't care which one it is, it's still challenging. It's still
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Most people are starting to get burnt out. I mean, you've done college, you've done dental school, now it's another, in this case, another 2 years. And so if it's not a family mentality where you have people that who truly care about you and want to see you succeed, it makes it really, really challenging. And so I think Indiana is very blessed. We have the adjunct faculty, the full-time faculty, we have really delightful people who just as people are good, nice people. And so, there's stressful days. If you've been in a practice, if you've been in dental school, obviously, you have days where your limits are pushed and you need that to grow. And that's going to be the same case here. But we have people who can recognize that, who can come and support you. I've had people who've been sick, their kids have been sick or broken bones. I've had people in car accidents, people who've had been pregnant or people pass away. And I can tell you that this village has rallied around them to support them, whatever that need was. And so I'm really proud of that I've been able to help and cultivate that type of culture where we truly care about each other. And I think you'll find that in most programs, but I know it to be true here. And it's something that I would tout from the mountaintops always. The other thing is just the devoted faculty and staff. We have a great staff here. Faculty to staff ratios, as you're interviewing, I'll give you a tip now. What does that look like? Most of you in dental school do a lot of stuff by yourself. That's not real world. That doesn't prepare you as much. And so in this program, I'm really happy. We have about a 2-to-1 to 4-to-1 ratio, depending on where you are in our clinic. And that really allows you to work on those soft skills. How do you speak to your assistant? How do you get them to understand? How do you develop that sign language where something's not going right and you can just kind of look over and they see your face and you both know, okay, we need to this patient's about to swallow something or something's going on, or I need you to, whatever it is. And so that's so impactful, and you have to model. You have to really practice, and I love there's an Allen Iverson, it's not a meme, but he talks about practice, and it's just funny if you haven't seen it. Go back and look. He's a basketball player for those of you who don't know who he is. So he talks about practice, and he was getting grief about not practicing. Well, I'm the opposite end. He's like, I'm a professional basketball player. I play basketball. I got this.
Yeah, I've dedicated my life to this game, the game that I love. And you're talking about practice,
man. Practice,
not the game,
not the game,
not the
game.
We're talking about practice. Like really, practice?
Yeah. But I would say here, you need to practice. It's important. How you speak to patients, how you interact with colleagues, how you dissect information, digest it, and apply it and assimilate it to the ultimate benefit of your patient. And so it's just a stomping ground. And I just met with my first year students. I'm like, look, it is okay to make a mistake. That's what you're here for. And I'm here to highlight. Sometimes you don't know you make a mistake, and I'll bring it to your attention. I'll also praise you. Hey, you did a great job here. But that's just part of the transformation that I talked about. You come here, think of a butterfly. You come here as a caterpillar. We put you into the chrysalis, and we help you emerge as a butterfly, ready to go spread your wings and do your thing. So that's part of it. Yeah. I've already spoken to the robust patient population. I can tell you there's parts of the country where there's multiple schools within a very tight radius, and it gets really hard to get a meaningful clinical experience because most of you at the end of the day want to be clinicians. And so you need to practice. This always comes up, so I'll address it here briefly. Is a 2-year program good enough? I run a program where I think so. I'll be the first to say it. And if you call any of my residents, they'll confirm it instantly. I will challenge you. I will hold your hand. I'll support you. I think I'm a pretty good read of character. So for some of my students, it's a carrot, a small carrot, a big carrot. For other students, it's a stick. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get you to be great because my name is on you. I'm pouring into you, and I want you to be excellent. I don't want you to be mediocre. And so as you're listening, if you're like, man, I just want to get into ortho and get out, this is not the program for you. We will butt heads. We'll be cool, but we're going to butt heads. But that's just my nature. I strive for excellence. I force everyone. I bring everyone, sometimes against their will, to be excellent in everything that we do. Patient services and our interaction, how we communicate with our administration, our population outside, the general public. I want it to be excellent. I want people to be proud to be here, to be a member here. I want people to be excited and happy to come to receive services here. And you got to work at that.
Yeah.
You're gonna find the same thing to be true. So, you know, if what you're looking for is something a little more calm, I'm okay with that. I'll still help you, mentor you. I'll look at your CV and personal statement, but I'll be real.
But you might get the stick though.
I'm out of the black box. I may bring out the stick, so it may happen.
Yeah.
The last strength that I'll share is, and please, if you're listening, this is another pearl I want you to write down. When you sit and you're reviewing schools or you get the opportunity to interview, I want you to be very explicit and ask them, tell me about the strength of the alumni support here at this institution. You don't really realize this now. You just want to get in, and I get that. But again, that's that short-term vision I was talking about. When you get into a program that has a strong alumni support will allow you to have experiences that your counterparts won't open. It opens not even doors. We're talking gates here. You want to go to Hawaii for the meeting? Some programs, they can't do that, or a certain class gets to go. And I'm not knocking those programs. Everybody has to work within their financial means. But if you can find the right program, your education will be enriched in ways you can't even imagine. You will be exposed to people who are internationally known for excellence in orthodontics or periodontics or what. So you want that, you need that. If I were in your shoes, I'm looking for a place where the horizon is boundless. I will be exposed to as much as possible, and I'll be able to do as many things as possible. And all that is really made possible because I have a dedicated group of alumni who love this. They love this department, and they give of their time, they give of their money, they give of their knowledge. And so I can't thank them enough, especially in COVID. I had clinical sessions. I have 14 residents. I had multiple, I could count on multiple hands, sessions where I had more faculty than I had students. Imagine that ratio. Imagine that learning experience. We did the whole Zoom thing. I did breakout sessions. I had student pairings. So those practices I talked about, where they had 2 or 3 faculty that they can sit and, what would you do? Why would you do that? Why is this wrong? Why is this right? Is there literature on this? And it's just that one-on-one. Think of your dental school experiences. Usually it's 10-1, 15-1, maybe even 20-1, where somebody walks by, you need a start check. Yep. You know what anesthetic you're going to use? Yep. I'll come back. They don't come back. And so it's important. And all that is because of the alumni support. So find a program that you like, and we'll get to that in a second. But one of the questions I want you to ask is, I want you to tell me and describe for me the level of engagement of your alumni in this program. What do they do to actively support the residents in this program? Now, second part of that, I want you, regardless of the program that you go to, I want you to make it a program with active alumni support. You can make that change. And so you may get into a program, maybe it's your second pick. That's okay. You change the culture, dedicate yourself to changing the culture. It's easy. Most of you, if you're going to do orthodontics, financially, you're going to be fine. In 2050, the population of the United States will be 450 million individuals. We currently have just under 10,000 orthodontists. You could do the math. There's plenty to go around. You got to pick wisely. Don't go into the heart of New York and think you're going to kill it. You could, maybe you're cold, but if you pick wisely, there's a lot of places where there's things going on. And so you could actually be in a good position. But when you pick that program, commit yourself to that program. Just like I hope you commit yourself to your alma mater, your college, and to your dental. They all poured into you. And maybe you didn't have the best experience. Change it. You give your time. You make it a better experience. So I have I interact with a lot of people who are bitter. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. They didn't do this for me. Well, you be that change agent. You be that person and be intentional with trying to change. And I'm very proud of a number of African-American students who have come on at recently faculty here at Indiana. Again, Indiana gets knocked a lot. Oh, you're not diverse. I'm not disagreeing with you. We could do better, but I'm happy to see that graduates in the last 5 years are coming back, trying to change the experience for all the minority students, all the people of color, and to change the mindset of some of the people who are here. So commit yourself to that.
And I think that goes along with the notion of being able to make contributions to your program as well, right? Your value as a resident, as a potential resident, and then also as a completer of the program is also in the value that you are bringing to the program. And you talked about an example of how your alumni and your completers of the program, how they continue to add value to the program after they have taken value from the program, and learning and becoming board certified orthodontists as well. What are some areas that you guys are continuing to improve.
Absolutely. Yeah,
As
yeah.
well.
I'll call it what it is. Program weaknesses. Let's open up the black box. As like with most institutions, we have a pretty high level of bureaucracy here. So things move kind of at a snail's pace. And that's not my nature. I've described kind of what I like to do. I like to get in. We need to change it.
Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Should have happened last year, So one of the areas is technology. And so again, we have a CBCT machine. We have intraoral scanners. I actually just got approval this week to get some arterial scanners. I had to move heaven and earth, and I lost a leg. Luckily, I'm sitting down. You guys can't see my amputated leg. I had to offer up to the bureaucracy guys. But I would say the mindset here is really heavy security, and I get it. I mean, if you look in the news and if you read certain spots, institutions, if there's a breach of data, if patient information gets out, it's a big deal, and there's a lot of money to be had, and people and companies and lawyers look for stuff like that. But because of that, it's really slow to quickly be nimble and incorporate technology.
Yeah.
So I had a student tell me just a couple of years ago, he put up a little thing about innovators and laggers and first adopters or late adopters. And he was like, we're laggers. And I'm like, I would challenge that. I would kindly, counter that maybe we're late adopters, which is still not complimentary, but it's the reality. And so I'm trying to make inroads and build relationships where we are able to be more nimble in the assessment, the vetting, and the acquisition and integration of technology that you're going to need to be proficient and that you're going to use in your practices. So that would be one area. The other thing is this is a fast-paced program. It's a 2-year program, and I have to hold you to the same standard and achieve all the things that my counterparts in 3-year programs do. So because of that, you have to be motivated. You have to be committed to doing this. You can't, I'll do 8 to 5, that's it. And then I'm going to do Netflix and TikTok on the weekends. I'm gonna go with my girl or my boo or my boo thing over here. And you have to.
It don't work like that.
You have to be committed, and I know that. And so I think usually with my residents, they look at me kind of crazy. It's just like, why can't I chill for a second? Why can't I do TikTok at 3:00 in the afternoon? It's just like, because you need to be reading literature. You need to be out helping your counterparts. Because I literally just had this talk this week with my students. I get a very small amount of time to get you ready to go. So think about, you going to the Super Bowl, and you just did the last playoff game. You got this tight window to go through your game plan and assignments and all that other stuff. Look at it in that light, or pick whatever analogy you want to. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to say, it's probably comparable, your program and what you're trying to achieve in that period of time. It's probably comparable to one of just the only school in the country out of the 67 that do this, which is UOP, University Pacific, where they compress 4 years, quote unquote, 4 years of dental school into 3.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing feat. But it also requires a lot of perseverance and grit and determination, and just being able to withstand that high intensity and that level of learning and momentum that continues to get you ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I don't view it as a weakness. But I want to open the black box and say, okay, if I went to this program, I like what I'm hearing from this guy or whatever. Just realize you will be challenged. I'm not going to sit on I'm glad that you're here. In 2 years, you'll get your certificate. The environment's different. And I know for some people, they don't truly comprehend that. It is a bit of a black box, maybe. And I try to be very vocal and very upfront about that. But if you know that you need something else, then again, talk with me. I mentor all the time. I love to do it. I love to see people successful. I know you do the same. And so we can talk, and it may end up, on the list. What schools are you looking at? Well, I had you on there, but I heard that session you did with Dr. Darwin. I had to take you off, and I'm trying to chill now. I'm like, I respect that. And I'm glad that you reflected enough where that's not the place for me.
Everything's not for everybody. Everybody's not for everything. And this applies to residencies as well. So that's good to know. And so we've got a lot of candidates, I'm sure, listening and watching, and I know for sure one of the things they want to know is, what is your program's ideal candidate or ideal resident? What does that person look like, sound like? How are they put together, so to speak?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is completely cliche. I've done a number of talks both here locally in Indianapolis and as I said, University of Pennsylvania, some other schools. One word, and it's hyphenated, well-rounded. And so, orthodontics carries this, it's not quite a stigma, but hey, if you're not top 10, if you're not top of your class, you can't get in. I can tell you, you need good grades to open the door, to be considered. And I'll get to that. I have a list here I'll kind of go through. But you really need to be well-rounded, because when I'm looking at my candidates, I'm looking at who comes in with a skill set that I could build upon. So they're firmly made. They have the fortitude to navigate the program. But then on the back end, they're going to be good for the population, good for the profession. I'm the gatekeeper, but that's a heavy load that I have to sit and work with my staff to kind of figure out. So what am I looking for? Well, honestly, I've found over the 13 years I've been in the profession, in the game, so to speak, it's the intangible stuff that I rank number one. So yes, we'll get to the grades and stuff in a second, but are you coachable? Are you inquisitive? Are you self-motivated? Are you organized? Are you a team player? And are you humble? If you're those things, I can't teach you any of those things. I can help you a little bit with organization. The rest of it, if you're not a team player, you're not a team player. And so in the interview process and, as you're getting your applications together, you need these intangible things to be clearly manifested in your application. You have to get it to come through. Otherwise, it boils down to grades. And I can tell you every year, I'm contacted by people who are number one in their class. They've killed it the whole time, 4.0 plus GPA. I don't know how you do it, but they do it. And they don't match. And it's because they're one dimension. And so they don't have all the other things, and it doesn't come across, and you can't fake that. And so if you're a selfish person, and I'm not calling people out, or if you're not a team player, or if you don't have the vision and the ability to engage people, then it's not going to work. Now, let's go to the tangible stuff. You do need to have good grades. And so for all my people out here listening, hey, well, I'm number 60 in my class. You can still get there. You may need to be more strategic in your mindset when you're applying to programs. Not all programs are going to be the same. And there's some out there, they don't hide it at all. My alma mater is one. I love Baylor's Texas A&M now. If you don't have really good grades, you're not going to make it. It's a high profile school. They do awesome things there from a research and clinical perspective. I'm a product of it. Again, I'll swing their banner just like I swing Indiana's. But I know to be competitive in that environment, you have to hold it down from a grade perspective. And so that may not quite be the fit for you. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a program out there for you, but you don't want to do this broad shotgun approach where you're applying to, this Michigan or a lot of other places where I know grades really matter. The other thing is, I said well-rounded. A lot of the programs, not most, but a lot of the programs require you to do research. And so look at it from my perspective for just a second. So let's calm it down for a second. I need people who can come into my system in a fast-paced, high-intensity system and be successful. So if you don't have research experience, not only am I teaching you foundational orthodontics, clinical techniques, maybe even if you haven't been in private practice, how to be a good practitioner and interpersonal skills that way. Now I have to teach you research 101 as well. That becomes a tall order, and the attention starts fighting itself. Well, am I going to focus on the research? Or am I going to focus on this other stuff Dr. Stewart's got me talking about? So when you come to the table and you've done research before, you've gone through the scientific method, that's a perk. I'm like, okay, they at least get the concept. Yep. And look, they've published or they've done presentations before. So all those things are good. It's not something that I had on there. I don't know that it's different in every system. I'll say it that way. But there's a handful of schools. Last time I checked, there were 5 that require the ADAT exam. A lot of others do the GRE. This allows us to compare apples to apples. So when I'm looking at someone from Houston, someone from Indiana, someone from UCLA, someone from NYU, some of those schools I just named, they don't give grades. So how do I compare them and be equitable? And I'm charged to do that from a CODA. I have to have a system that allows me to level the playing field as much as possible. I'll be the first to tell you, I've done research on it. The GRE is not a good predictor of success in a residency program.
You guys are listening? Are you guys listening? Now, even though there are some programs that still require it.
We require it.
Yes.
But I'm also telling you, that it's not a good predictor. Those other things I think are more a predictor. I haven't done that research, so stay posted. Keep looking at the literature. I'll have something coming out. But you need to make sure that you're competitive. You don't want that door to close, and that's what you're trying to do. So when they look and they're like, okay, I got 6 people from Cali, I got 4 people from NYU, I got 2 from Florida, 1 from Indiana, 1 from Texas. How do you stand out? Because most people don't aren't intimately engaged in the didactic process that you're going through. So I don't know how strong or weak your education is. It's a little scuttlebutt, it's a little, I think that's a good program, or people rely on the historical knowledge. This is typically a good program, but if you're able to get better scores in these standardized tests, it keeps you on the table.
And when you mean good program, you mean good dental school, right?
Good dental school and right. Good orthodontic residency program. Right. But yeah. So for both, and for those of you trying to get into dental school, it's the same thing. So your DAT scores, it's no different. It's exactly the same.
Right.
You just want to make yourself present where they don't close your application. That's what this number truly does for you. It keeps it open, and they're like, academically, they can make it. Now, are they going to fit in my program? That's where all the other stuff that I led with comes in. Are you coachable? Are you humble? Are you teachable? Are you all that stuff? Because that's what matters. And so when you're looking at letters of recommendation, when you're telling your story through your personal statement, when you're trying to package your CV, you want to highlight all those intangible things that I wouldn't know about you outside of a transcript. I'm going to know if you can navigate a curriculum or if you struggle. Either way is fine, but you'll need to speak to that. You'll need to put a voice to that. So when I look at it, don't close the file. I keep the file open. I'm like, I'm intrigued. Let me read the personal statement. Let me go back and look at the references. Oh, you know what? Dr. Darwin is a reference. Let me pick up the phone and talk to him. Hey, do you know Kelton? Oh, I sure do. Yeah.
Yep, I know him. Take him right now. Take him.
And that's what you want. You're building relationship, hopefully right now, in all aspects of your life. And so what you're trying to do is be strategic and keep the file open.
Yeah.
Get me to a point where I'm like, I'm intrigued. I want to see this person. I want to meet this person. You know what? I know that reference. I call, and then now Dr. Darwin can sing your praises. Oh, I've known this person since they were getting in dental school. That's a cold young lady. That's a cold gentleman. You want them in your program. That's all I needed to hear. Close the file, shift it to the interview. Next person.
And so that's the step that you're trying to get to. Like I've said in many different forms and many different times, last time I checked, you don't get into residency without having an interview. So this application that we're talking about and letters of recommendation, all that is to get you to the next step, which is the interview, which will hopefully eventually lead you to matching and starting the program. All right. So if you guys have gotten some value so far on this part 2 so far, and have liked what you've heard, please put a comment down at the bottom, letting us know that what you like the most about what you've heard, or what part of what you heard either you didn't expect it, or it's something that you're gonna be able to key into, and something that's going to actually help you with your application. Put those comments down below and hit the like button as well for us. Now we come to the super supreme.
Really opening the box now.
Super supreme. I mean, now you got the magic wand. You will get ready to hit this black box completely open. It's like hitting like a pinata? It's a pinata. Oh, yeah. And you just keep hitting it, get all the knowledge out. We're gonna hit you guys now with the tips and advice from a leading program director for orthodontics. Hit the box, Doc. Give us some tips and advice that you have for candidates that are listening who want to become board certified orthodontists.
Absolutely. The first one, and we've used these terms before. Number one, you want to be proactive and intentional about all your activities, all your efforts prior to applying. So really, day one of dental school, you're on the clock is the way I look at it. So what activities are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, where you're getting enriched, but at the same time, you're building the case that you are coachable, humble, team player, all those things that we've talked about. But remember, you can't have an unbalanced approach. It will only work in a small amount. I think your level of success will be undermined if you do that. Hey, Dr. Stewart, I don't get it. What do you mean? What I mean is, again, you can't have a 4.0, have no research experience, no leadership, no community service, no publications. They're going to pass you by. So what's the strategy? Pick a group, pick 2 groups, and be engaged, but be engaged and lead. Again, you're going to be a practitioner who will need to lead a team. So you need to start to hone those skills. So you also want to make sure that education is a priority, I can tell you the fastest way to get the door to close where you're not considered for an interview is to not have the grades. There are some programs, they have very strict thresholds. And if you don't meet it from a GPA or an ADAT or a GRE's perspective, it doesn't matter all the wonderful things that you've done. You could have Barack Obama writing you a letter of recommendation. They'll never know it. They'll never get to it because they're just going to close the door. Oh, they made a 140 on the GRE, close. They made a 322 on the ADAT, close. So you really need the balance. And so allocate your time. If you need support, and this is not, it wasn't something that's there, but it just came to mind. If you're struggling early, that does not mean that you can't achieve your goal if it's orthodontics, but what it does mean is that you need additional support. So have the humility and be open to seeking help early. Don't wait until a semester goes by. You take your first round of tests and you don't do well, you need to make a beeline for somebody, whether it's Dr. Darwin, if it's me and we're not in your systems, but hopefully maybe we know somebody in your institution where you're like, you know what, this is someone who will be supportive. Go and talk with them. Let's try to identify what you're not getting. Where are you struggling? Is it the time management? Is it the organizational skills? Are you just so apprehensive with test taking? I hear that all the time, and that's fine. Be apprehensive, but you got to produce. So are there tips or strategies that you can employ that will allow you to overcome these barriers and these maybe it's just an insecurity, and that's okay. We all have them. You know, again, I don't have any hair and I've grown to love my bald head, and it wasn't that way at the beginning. That was a little, you know, it happens, but you have to grow, and that's part of the process.
And you have to be willing to receive help and ask for help, right? I always say the smartest person, dentist, dental student, ortho resident in the room is the one that asks for help.
Always.
That's the smartest one.
Always.
No such thing as a stupid question. Only thing is stupid if you don't ask the question.
Very true.
Very true. Please continue with your tips. I just had to add that.
Hey, no, I love it. I love it. The next thing is know thyself. So I want you to spend a little bit of time reflecting. And for those of you who aren't quite at the stage of interviewing, the same thing applies to you. What activities are you going to be invested in? This is extra, man. This is on top of everything else that you have to do. So if you don't really like the group, if you don't really like the leadership experience, it's a burden. And if that happens, you're not going to thrive there. It's not going to serve its purpose. You're not going to grow as a professional, and it'll probably negatively impact your grades. So you have to be strategic. So for me, when I was in dental school, it was the SNDA. And we just had a small African-American group. So we banded together, and it was a way that I could come together with like-minded people with similar backgrounds and be refreshed. So I needed that. But I also did a dental fraternity. I was the vice president of my class. So I had engagement with the administration to start to learn how they think and why they look and make certain decisions. But I did all of those things because it made me a better person. And at that time, I didn't even know I wanted to go into academics, but it gave me a foundation and experiences that I now harness on a daily basis. So you got to think about it, but you got to know yourself. On top of that, what type of learner are you? Are you visual? Do you just listen to audio recordings and you're okay? Is it a combination? Do you need to make note cards? Do you have a memory? You just need to give me 20 minutes so you can memorize a whole page of information. Whatever it is, you need to know that. I can tell you every orthodontic residency is a little different. While the degree you get at the end is the same, close to it, some don't do the master's, but your orthodontic certificate, you're going to get across the board. The way that you get it and how they present you the information and the way that they challenge you is different. And so one of the things you want to do is, you know, people in those programs, can you reach out? How are you doing? I also went to Meharry, or I went to Howard, or I went to Tufts. And so I'm experiencing a dental training or a college similar to you. So how are you faring in this new environment? And if they're stressed, pulling out their hair, I wasn't prepared, whatever, well, maybe there's things you can do to be prepared. Maybe that's still the place for you. Or you say, you know what? No, that's not it. That's not the learning environment that will allow me to reach my full potential. So you have to kind of self-assess in that way. The other thing is you want to make sure that they're going to be able to prepare you for your ultimate goal. I talked about all the different things that my students do. So whether it's going back to their native country or opening their practice or doing a DSO, or maybe taking a step back and being a spouse and supporting your significant other's education, and you work part-time, whatever it is, you need to know what you ultimately want to do. And then you can convey that to me as program director here or to my counterparts in the other programs. And hopefully they're all candid with you. Yes, I have an educational process that will allow you to thrive and to pick up the skills you need to be successful. But if you don't know, I can't help you. And I can't guide you into, yes, this is a good program, or no, it's not. The last thing that I would say is we all need support mechanisms. I've highlighted throughout this session, I have I feel very blessed. Both my parents stayed together. My father is an engineer. My mother is an accountant. They've made a lot of sacrifices for me and my two sisters. Not everyone has that background, but outside of that, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people along the way who supported me. When you go to decide what you're going to do, incorporate them into your thought process. I had long talks. I love my father. He's very systematic. My mom is more emotional. So the typical male, female type of thing, but that balance allows me to stay on the path that's allowed to be successful. So when I need to be emotional, I call my mom. When I need to sit and work out to the T details on how I'm going to do stuff, I call my dad. If I need a combination, I get them both on the speakerphone. They're normally both on there anyway. And I'm able to go through. But for those of you who are thinking about programs, I've seen this too many times, and it hurts my soul. People get into programs, but your spouse didn't want to go there. You didn't even ask them. You didn't consider, but that's your support mechanism. So you drag them from point A or city A to city B. They're miserable. And halfway through the program, they're like, you know what? You didn't think about me at all. You're really selfish. I'm leaving you. Well, now mentally, halfway through your program, your world is crumbling around you. You can keep that from happening. And it's simple. Give them a mat. And you say, you know what, we're a team and I want you to be a part of this process. I'm going to need you to support me. Maybe you have kids or pets or whatever. Maybe they're just going to cook the food that you're going to eat when you get home late from a long day of school and clinic. Give them the choice. Look at this. We got 48 states to pick from. Which ones do you not want to go to? Or which ones do you want to go to? And let them mark it out. Once you do that, you're going to come up with a list. And it may be another 20 schools. Well, now at that point, you can start to apply your rubric. Well, I need this type of learning environment. I want to make sure that there's people that look like me. So I'm going to go to a place where there's diversity. I'm already in debt, $500,000. So I need a place that's going to be quick, 2-year programs. Or I need a place that I can go in-state or something close to in-state. If you do that, they are engaged in the process. They're more likely and more willing to support you and make additional sacrifices for your success. It is a team. I can tell you that the 2 people you're listening to tonight, we didn't get here by ourselves. We have not continued to make the impacts that we've made in the profession, from whatever way you want to look at it, without the support of other people. And so we've learned that, we've mastered that. You have to do the same. So maybe you've done a lot by yourself. You came to this country maybe all alone, and you're not really by yourself. Look around you. Who's supporting you? Who you crying? Whose shoulders are you crying on? Who do you eat lunch with? Or if you're married, that person, you made a vow to them. And so this is one of those for better or for worse type of things. It could be for better long term, but it could also be for worse if you're selfish in the decision. So I'll stop there. And if you have any other questions, but those are pearls. I could go on and on. There's lots.
Yeah, man. I think the notion of leveraging your networks and making it a win-win for those that support you in this professional development opportunity is very key. Very, very key. And you're right, with programs being spread out all throughout different parts of the country, it's key to make sure that you have that support and have that buy-in from a significant other, because it's a sacrifice. Yes, you will be sacrificing your time and your blood, sweat, and tears and the training and becoming a board certified orthodontist. But that significant other, like you mentioned, is going to be making a sacrifice as well, in addition to supporting you in your endeavors. So, so very key and important. Thanks so much for sharing those tips. And I think now it's official. The black box has been cracked open. The black box has been cracked open, guys. Put
Call
your
the
comments.
Pentagon.
That's
Call the
right.
Pentagon.
Call the Pentagon. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you thought about today's episode. Dr. Stewart, thank you so much, my brother, my bow tie brother, my other bow tie brother of dentistry. Thanks so much for your time. Guys, check out these next videos right here. Hopefully these will help you as well. And we'll leave some comments down below for Dr. Stewart to get in contact with him. And that's our time. Love, peace, and smiles. We'll see you guys later.
Take care.